Om Aganda Timarandasya Ganajana Shivakaya Chakshur Umrisamyena Tajma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Krishna Kirtana Bhanana Tanapano.
Hare Krishna. Welcome back to this video series on the Bhagavad Gita as it is, translated by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this video, we are beginning part 1 of chapter 18, Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. In this chapter, Krishna concludes, as he has done throughout the Bhagavad Gita, that one should practice devotional service. Since Arjuna's basic desire to renounce his duty of fighting was fear of sinful reaction, Krishna explains true renunciation and how to transcend sinful reactions. Krishna can only be known through surrendering to him in devotional service, and by his direct process, free from karma or jnana. Arjuna need not fear any sinful reactions. Under Krishna's protection, such a pure devotee will reach the abode of Krishna. Text number 1. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation and of the renounced order of life, O killer of the Keshi demon, Rishikesh. The Supreme Lord said, to give up the results of all activities is called renunciation by the wise, and that state is called the renounced order of life by the learned men. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up, but there are yet other sages who maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. O best of the Bharats, hear from me now about renunciation. O tiger among men, there are 3 kinds of renunciation declared in the scriptures. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. All these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If, by illusion, one gives up his prescribed duties, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear is said to be in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. But he who performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is of the nature of goodness, O Arjuna. Those who are situated in the mode of goodness, who neither hate inauspicious work nor are attached to auspicious work, have no doubts about work. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. Therefore it is said that he who renounces the fruits of action is one who is truly renounced. For one who has not renounced the 3-fold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, occur after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. Chapter 18 summarizes the contents of the entire Gita. As Srila Prabhupada explains, actually, the Bhagavad Gita is finished in 17 chapters. The 18th chapter is a supplementary summarization of the topics discussed before. In every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna stresses that devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life. The same point is summarized in the 18th chapter as the most confidential path of knowledge. As in the 2nd chapter, a synopsis of the whole subject matter was described. In the 18th chapter, also, the summary of all instructions is given. Krishna's summary begins with a review of the basic conclusion of the first 6 chapters. Dutiful, detached work brings no reactions. In verse 1, Arjuna wanted some clarification from Krishna. What is the goal of renunciation and of the renounced order of life? Should one work while remaining detached from the fruit of work, nishkam karma? Or should one renounce activities to perform Gyan Yoga? Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan comments on this verse as follows. Arjuna remained unclear as to the Lord's meaning when he used the word sannyas in statements such as, when the embodied living being controls his nature and mentality, renounces all actions, he resides happily. Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 13. And when he used the word tyaga in statements such as abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text 20. Arjuna thus inquires in this verse, do the words sannyas and tyag have completely different meanings like the two words mountain and tree? Or do they have similar meanings like the words kuru and pandava? If the first case is true, then I want to know what is the separate identities of sannyas and tyag are. And the second case is true, then maybe there is some superficial quasi-distinction between the two ideas, and I would like to know what that is. O mighty armed Krishna, O Rishikesh, because you are the impeller of active functions of intelligence, you yourself have brought about my doubt. O killer of Keshi, please destroy my doubt as you destroyed Keshi. Krishna begins his answer by giving the opinion of the learned and wise who say that sannyas and tyag are different. According to them, sannyas refers to the renunciation of materially motivated activities, specifically karmakanda activities. Tyag, on the other hand, refers to the renunciation of the fruits of one's activities. In verse 6, Krishna concludes his opinion. Because it is his opinion, it is superior to the other opinions Krishna previously offered. Activity need not be given up, because activities in and of themselves cause no reactions. We obtain reactions from our activities if out of false ego we think I am the doer and the fruits are mine to enjoy. A person in the mode of goodness is determined to act properly regardless of the forthcoming pleasures or pains. Srila Prabhupada confirms this in his purport to verse 10 as the proper attitude for a devotee. A person in Krishna consciousness or in the mode of goodness does not hate anyone or anything which troubles his body. He does work in the proper place at a proper time without fearing the troublesome effects of his duty. Such a person, situated in transcendence, should be understood to be most intelligent and beyond all doubts in his activities. After having summarized his teachings on karma, Krishna now describes from the viewpoint of Gyan, which is the subject matter of the last 6 chapters, how is it possible to act and yet remain free from all reaction. Text number 13. O mighty armed Arjuna, learn from me of the 5 factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, the senses, the endeavor, and ultimately the supersoul. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, is not the slayer, nor is he bound by his actions. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors which motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer comprise the threefold basis of action. In accordance with the 3 modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and the performers of action. Listen as I describe them. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences, undivided in the divided, is knowledge in the mode of goodness. That knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is knowledge in the mode of passion. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. As for action, that action in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results, is called action in the mode of goodness. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires, and which is enacted from a sense of false ego, is called action in the mode of passion. And that action performed in delusion, without consideration of future bondage or consequences, which inflicts injury and is impractical, is said to be action in the mode of ignorance. Beginning with verse 13, Krishna cites Vedanta and begins his analysis of activity by discussing the 5 causes of action, the most important being the supersoul. Krishna offers this analysis to help us become detached from seeing ourselves as the doers of all and thereby becoming bound. Krishna will carry his analysis further to the perfection of Gyan, knowledge of the supersoul. The place of action refers to the entire body, or that which is held up by the skeleton. The performer is ultimately the soul, who, when absorbed in material consciousness, acts through false ego. The instruments are the parts of the body, the senses. There is also the overall endeavor of the senses. The supersoul is the ultimate controller over all other factors. He is the Paramatma, the Lord of all within the material world. To convince us that we are not the only doers, Krishna stresses that these 5 factors are the true cause of action, the ultimate supercause being the supersoul's sanction. If the jivas, being a doer, is under the regulating control of the Supreme Lord, then we have to say that his activities does not proceed from his own will, and that he is actually just like a stone or some other inert object. In that case, don't the injunctions and the prohibitions of Scripture become useless? The answer is, the jiva receives from the Supreme Lord a body and senses endowed with specific potencies, of which he then becomes the proprietor. Acquiring those potencies, the jiva exerts his free will and assumes control of his body and senses for the purpose of fulfilling karmic endeavors. The Supreme Lord presents within all these coverings sanctions the jiva's activity and inspires him to act. In this way, there is no contradiction between the supreme control and the jiva's having its own willpower to act or to refrain from acting. Krishna categorizes action into 3, that performed with the body, mind, or words. Action in all 3 categories can be performed either according to Shastric injunctions or against them. In either case, however, it is the Supersoul who ultimately sanctions all action. This is confirmed in Krishna's next statement. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Thinking, by my power, I have done it, keeps one bound in the material world. Therefore, in this verse, Krishna uses the word kevalam, only. Only I have done it. In chapter 3, Krishna referred to such thinking as fit only for ass-like people. Then in chapter 16, he characterized such thinking as demoniac. Here again, and this time, quoting Vedanta as his authority, Krishna points out the lack of intelligence and the foolishness inherent in thinking ourselves the controllers and the doers. Krishna has already recommended that action be dutifully performed in the mode of goodness. In his purport to text 23, Srila Prabhupada closely equates the mode of goodness with Krishna consciousness. He writes, regulated occupational duties as prescribed in the scriptures in terms of the different orders and divisions of society, performed without attachment or proprietary rights, and therefore without any love or hatred, and performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme without self-satisfaction or self-gratification, are called actions in the mode of goodness. Text number 26. The worker who is free from all material attachments and false ego, who is enthusiastic and resolute, and who is indifferent to success or failure, is a worker in the mode of goodness. But that worker who is attached to the fruits of his labor and who passionately wants to enjoy them, who is greedy, envious, and impure, and moved by happiness and distress, is a worker in the mode of passion. And that worker who is always engaged in work against the injunction of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is a worker in the mode of ignorance. Now, O winner of wealth, please listen as I tell you in detail of the three kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of nature. O son of Prita, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, and what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, that understanding is established in the mode of goodness. And that understanding, which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and the irreligious, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is the mode of passion. That understanding, which considers irreligion to be religion, and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O Partha, is in the mode of ignorance. O son of Prita, that determination, which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and thus controls the mind, life, and the acts of the senses, is in the mode of goodness. And that determination, by which one holds fast to free result in religion, economic development, and sense gratification, is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. And that determination, which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination is in the mode of darkness. O best of the bards, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness which the conditioned soul enjoys, and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. That which in the beginning may be like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from the beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada again equates spiritual consciousness and the mode of goodness in his purport. He writes, a person in Krishna consciousness is always transcendental to the material modes of nature. He has no expectations for the result of the work entrusted to him, because he is above false ego and pride. Still, he is always enthusiastic till the completion of such work. He does not worry about the distress undertaken. He is always enthusiastic. He does not care for success or failure. He is equal in both distress and happiness. Such a worker is situated in the mode of goodness. One who is not Krishna conscious is forced to act by the modes of material nature. And as in our knowledge and work, so also in our understanding and determination. Now, after explaining knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower in the three different divisions according to the modes of material nature, the Lord explains the intelligence and determination of the worker in the same way. Performing actions in terms of the directions of the scriptures is called pravritti, or executing actions that deserve to be performed. and actions which are not so directed are not to be performed. One who does not know the scriptural directions becomes entangled in the actions and reactions of work. Srila Prabhupada writes, intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Yoga is a means to understand the Supreme Soul. One who is steadily fixed in the Supreme Soul with determination, concentrating one's mind, life, and sensory activities on the Supreme engages in Krishna consciousness. That sort of determination is in the mode of goodness. Buddhi, intelligence or understanding, is in the mode of goodness when it recognizes and engages in a religious act. Determination is that which makes the intelligence firm in its decisions. Determination that prevents us from performing degraded actions is also in the mode of goodness. Krishna states in verse 37, that which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. Srila Prabhupada writes, in the pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and the senses, and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter like poison. But if one is successful in following the regulations and comes to the transcendental position, they begin to drink real nectar and they enjoy life. As happiness and goodness entails giving up interest in sense objects, its nectar comes only after some time. Unlike the happiness derived from the mode of passion that come quicker. To experience happiness and goodness requires practice, sadhana, and control of the mind and senses. In contrast, happiness derived from passion and ignorance is immediate and requires no practice. That ends part 1 of chapter 18. Thank you for watching. Hope you return when we will complete chapter 18 and finish the Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna.
Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujaga Sri Jiva Gopalakum Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tana Param Premam Tambani Vira Dhira Jana Priya Kana Nima Sajam Pujito Krishna Kirtana Gana